All right, so today we're going to talk about which real estate investing strategies. Hey, good. Thank you for coming on, guys. Can y'all hear me? I just want to make sure everything is good. Uh-oh. This is not showing me the right one. I picked the wrong one. Hang on, let me get out of this. This is not the right one. Stop share. This one. Okay. Okay, let me see. There's the Zoom call is in the, if you want to do Zoom call, the Zoom call is in the comments of the Facebook Live. I think we should be good though. I think we figured out all the kinks and stuff. So hopefully you guys can hear clearly. Let me know if you hear me clearly or not hear me clearly would be great. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and get started because we do have a lot of stuff to discuss today. So today what we're going to be talking about, yesterday we did wholesaling is what we did, okay? Because everybody wants to get started in wholesaling, right? So I want to just get that out of the way so people can kind of have an idea of what wholesaling is. Today what we're going to talk about is the real estate investment strategies that we should be focusing on right now, right? So everybody knows what's going on in the world. Actually, all of the information is right in the Facebook group. Right in the Facebook group. So if you go into the Facebook group, you can see the Zoom link, but can you not see it in the comments? Or if you scroll all the way to the top of the comments, actually I could probably just paste it and just copy and paste it again. Well, so you can have it, okay? But it should be in the Facebook group. Everything is in the Facebook group, all right? Okay, all comments are in the Facebook group. Put everything right into, if you have any questions, just put them right into the Facebook group. I am not monitoring the Q&A of Zoom. I'm only monitoring the Q&A of the Facebook group, okay? Just so everybody knows. So I can have that open and this open. Everything's open, okay? All right, so which real estate investment strategy should we be focusing on? So let's get started. Everybody knows, like I said, everybody knows what's happening with COVID and all the stuff that's going on right now, okay? So how is the market going to drop? And actually I'm going to put a link to the local monitor report, which is basically local monitor report is a data company. It's a real estate investing, or it's a real estate data company. What they do is they monitor like permits across the country and who's pulling permits. They monitor the economic outcome based on like the real estate market, like what's happening in the real estate market, right? So it is, and actually it's a great company, and they send out like they do like a monthly report. It's like 5 minutes long. He goes through and he talks about where the market is like right now, what's happening in the market, okay? And actually, what he's saying, right, in the video, and I want everybody for homework, this is your homework to watch this. What he's saying is that you need to understand that the way that the market is right now, the way that the economy is right now is 3 times as worse. 3 times as worse? 3 times worse? 3 times as worse as the bubble. 3 times as worse as the bubble right now in this very moment. All right, because what happened is that the unemployment rate during like the bubble was only like at a high of 5%, only a high of 5%, right? And then now it's at between 13 and 14%. Isn't that crazy, right? So he's closely watching how the economy is turning, and he's saying that it's going to take at least 1 year, if not longer, to get back to where we were. All right, he's saying at least 1 year, if not longer, and he's guesstimating a couple of years on different sectors, right? So for instance, like restaurants, like restaurant industry has a negative drop of 50%, right? So half of all restaurants out of business. Can you imagine half of all restaurants out of business, right? Even the government services, even government programs, and all this stuff going to be slashed, right? Because the economy is so bad, you got to cut costs, right? So pretty much, you know, manufacturing is gone anyways. I mean, so we'll see what happens with manufacturing. It's gone. But he goes through each of these sectors and basically shows us what our percentage in drops is on each one. And he is saying at least 1 year, if not longer, to get it back to where it was. Okay. And remember, we talked about yesterday, there's a 20% decrease in all real estate market sales right now, right? So not only do we have a 20% decrease in sales, we also have, you know, new construction is slowing down. I just read an article that I posted out on my Facebook page. If anybody's interested, you can go there, about new construction it has a decrease, I think, of 9% last month, or in the month of April, because they're like 1 month behind. But in the month of April, they're even slowing down, you know. And when new construction slows down, that means the economy is hurting, right? So it is imperative, you as an investor, it is imperative for you to understand how the market is doing. And that doesn't mean, when the market is bad, that doesn't mean you can't make money. Right? When the market is bad, that means you actually, remember on my little picture that I had, right? The highest risk and the lowest opportunity is when everybody is doing well, right? When everybody's doing bad, for us as investors, the highest opportunity level is there and the lowest amount of risk is there, right? So it's a different mindset, right? You got to shift your mindset. The downturn and what's to come is actually going to be a great opportunity for us, okay? What that means is that you have to know what you should be focusing on right now. What should you be focusing on right now in order to make money? What types of niches, what types of transactions, and where you should be focusing your energy, right? So that is what we're going to be talking about today. I am very, very excited for what's to come. And I'll tell you what I'm focusing on, and then you can take from what I teach you today and you can apply it to what you want, and then let me know what you're going to be focusing on. Post it in the group and say, from this list, from everything that I learned about, I'm going to learn this, or whatever, you know. And you don't want to learn everything. I mean, it's just too much. It's way too much. But the good part about real estate investing is that there's so many different ways for you to invest in real estate. There's so many different ways, right? So now, just get this here. Get this. I'm going to get my microphone. My microphone is not plugged in. And what else? Let me just get all this plugged in. I thought this was plugged in. I guess my husband was messing with everything. I messed it all up. Okay. Let's see if these work. Tell me if that's better or worse. Okay. All right. So let's get started. Which real estate investing strategies should I be focusing on? Okay. Okay, so here are all the different ways that you can make money in real estate, in upturns and downturns and all turns. This is what you could be doing, right? This is a list of everything. So you could be rehabbing, wholesaling, doing performing notes and non-performing notes, lease options, subject to, lending, crowdfunding, turnkey, rentals, storage, assisted living, commercial property, multifamily, virtual wholesaling, remote rehabbing, owner financing, wraps, self-directed IRAs, vacation rentals, sandwich lease options, signage, mobile homes, mobile home parks, tax liens, and land. So has anybody done any of these at all? Post it in the private and in the Facebook group, in our live Facebook chat, if you've done any of these types of transactions before. I want to know What have you been focusing on over the past? I've done nothing at all. I'm a complete newbie. I have no idea. And, or like, yeah, I've done these types of transactions. Me personally, I have done wholesaling, rehabbing, notes, lease options, subject to lending. I haven't done crowdfunding yet. Turnkey, rental, storage, commercial. I haven't done multifamily yet. Virtual wholesaling, remote rehabbing, owner financing, self-directed IRAs, vacation rentals, sandwich lease option. I haven't done signage. I really want to do some signage. I want a storage facility that has a sign on it. That'd be awesome. I haven't done mobile homes yet. I haven't done any tax liens, but I've done land, right? So those are all the things that I've done, okay? And that's over the course of the last 10 years. I started out wholesaling, and then I was rehabbing, and then it just went like bazonkers after that. I was all over the place trying to learn everything, right? And that's kind of how it works. That's why I said yesterday, wholesaling is your gateway drug, right? It's really kind of like gets your foot into the door. Once you get a couple of wholesale deals down, all of a sudden it starts to click, and then opportunities come to you from all different angles, right? The most important thing is to get the foundations of your business set up, all right? The foundations of your business set up. And I actually teach a course. I have an online course called the 7 Critical Steps of Starting Your Online Business. All right, and I'm going to offer that to everybody, you know, throughout the week. At the end of the thing, it's going to take you step by step by step exactly what you should be doing. Do this, this, this. But what it is I'm teaching you how to set up the foundations of your business, right? And wholesaling is the foundation of your business. If you can wholesale, I'm telling you to do any type of transaction. Right, that's why I say learn how to wholesale so that you can do any type of transaction. Whatever comes across your plate, you have something that you can do with it. You either keep it for yourself, or you know how to give it to somebody, or partner with somebody, refer it to somebody, right? But at least you know what to do with that deal. All right, and that is where you want to be. That is where you want to be. All right, so you don't like, so for instance, I know a lot of rehabbers. I see some people that have done rehabbers, and essentially all they're doing is going out and looking for a rehab to a rehab, right? But then that's it. All they can do is rehab. But if you set the foundations of your business up to be able to wholesale, you can wholesale any deals that come across your plate, or you can keep those. So it gives you a choice, and it gives you multiple streams of income. And real estate investing, that's what it is. It's about multiple streams of income. If I'm not making money here, I'm definitely making money here. In fact, I'm always making money every single day, all the time, because of all the different streams of income I've set up through all the different real estate transactions, okay? Now, when you first start out, you're just starting out, right? I started out just wholesaling. That's all I knew how to do. That's all I could do, you know, because that's all I could afford, right? But as you grow, you want to educate yourself on all these types of transactions, okay? And that's why I said there is a lot of different ways for you to learn how to invest in real estate. Just pick one right now, focus on that. My personal opinion is wholesaling. And then once you learn to wholesale, move to the next thing, right? Now, when I say wholesaling, I'm not saying wholesaling properties. I'm saying pick wholesaling, and you can wholesale whatever type of property that you want. You can wholesale land. I wholesale land. I wholesale commercial property. I wholesale storage facilities. I wholesale houses for rehab. I wholesale houses for rentals. I wholesale turnkey houses, right? So I wholesale anything that comes across my plate. If I don't want it, I just wholesale it out. Okay. And if I can't find a buyer for it, I partner with somebody else and I just let them do it. Okay. So that's why I love wholesaling, is because it gives you that opportunity, gives you that foundation to set everything up and then to move forward and get more opportunity. Okay. So let's talk about it. So everybody knows rehabbing, right? So you know you can rehab. The question is, can you rehab in today's market? What is today's market again, right? What's today's market? Today's market is crazy times, right? You do not want to be going out and doing rehabs on huge, big houses, or do big, huge rehabs. This is a no-no right now, okay? Unless you know what you're doing. unless you've done, you know, rehabs and you're like, no, I know what I'm doing. I can go out and do this. I know my market. I know exactly what price it should be. And I know this is, you know, this is a good market, right? So because I have friends that do big, huge rehabs, new construction. I mean, they just like, I had one friend that did like, I know $150,000 rehab, bought the house for $300,000, put $150,000 into it and sold it for $600,000. Okay. Now they do that on a regular basis and they only do a couple of those every single year. Okay. And they've been doing it for, you know, at least 5 years, if not longer, you know, so it's like, they know what they're doing. Okay. I'm talking about us newbies. We have no idea what we're doing, right? So essentially, if you want to rehab, you want to stick to first-time home buyer houses. And I want you to stick to $200,000 or less houses, right? 200,000. Now, depending on your area, I can't say in California it's $200,000. Actually, remind me where everybody's from. But like, you know, in typical areas, you know, a couple $100,000 is an average for the first-time home buyer house. So find out in your area, what is your average, right? What is your average home buyer house? And stick to that. Your average first-time home buyer house, what is the cost for that? In Atlanta, it's $235,000, okay? So I know if it's around $235,000 or less, I should be fine. And what I'm actually in my mind thinking is I should probably drop that about 20% right now because we're going into the downturn. Because that $235,000 was in the upturn when everybody could afford stuff. Right now, and I know that the market has dropped 20%. So why don't I just take 20% off of that and focus on $200,000 or less? Now, in your market, I would kind of think, I would look at it the same way. Like, what's the average price home in your market? And then take 20% off that and focus on that price. Okay. You know, and you know, where do all the FHA buyers go to? Right? Or the conventional buyers that can only afford 5% down. Right? So because you can get a conventional loan and only put 5% down, or you can get an FHA loan and put 3% down, right? So where are all those buyers at in your area, all right? And that's where you can be rehabbing, and that's where you should be wholesaling as well too, right? Wholesaling and rehabbing, okay? Let me know if you have any other points to that as well too. Just put them in the chat. We can discuss it as we go along, okay? So yes, you can still rehab. It's just that, and then you want to stick to smaller rehabs. How much is a small rehab? As small as you can possibly get, but I would say no more than $60,000. All right, no more than $60,000. Now, are people doing bigger rehabs? Yeah, people are doing bigger rehabs, but if they don't have experience, then they're just not. They're crazy. Okay, so me personally, I'm in the process of doing a rehab right now. That's about like $75,000. I always stick to like $60,000 to $70,000 rehabs. That's what I do, and I'm hoping that the price for the rehabs will actually go down. You know, because the market's going to go down. So, because I used to, when I first started, 2010, 11, 12, 13, 14, I was paying like, now I pay $60,000 to $70,000. I was paying like $40,000 to $50,000 for rehab. So I'm hoping that the construction prices will go down. And this has not dropped yet, but I'm hoping that they will in the downturn. Okay, good. So rehabbing, you want to do smaller rehabs and you want to do lower retail sell houses, first time home buyer sales. My personal opinion. Okay. And then we talked about wholesaling and virtual wholesaling, right? So we've talked about that yesterday. You either, in virtual wholesaling, remember you have boots on the ground, right? So you have a boots on the ground person. So you're the person doing all the work. You're running the comps, running the analysis. You're doing all the computer work, and you're doing all the marketing and getting all the leads and things like this, right? And talking to the sellers. And then you have like a boots on the ground person that goes out, walks the property, takes pictures, and comes up with repair estimate. Okay, that is your boots on the ground person. Now, But you can still wholesale, as I was saying, you can still wholesale any type of property. As we go through these property, as we go through this list, we'll talk about how you can wholesale each type of property, right? And then all it is, it all just focuses on what type of marketing you want to do. Now you want to pick like one thing to focus on and get really good at that, and then you can move to another thing. You don't want to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to wholesale multifamily and land and houses, and it's just like, it's way too much, right? Because you have to learn how to analyze those, and you have to go out, and it's just like, it's too much, right? So let's just focus on one thing that you want to wholesale right now, and then just get really good at that. But you can wholesale any type of property out there, all right? And remember, when I talk about wholesale, I talk about you are going to go and market, right? You're going to go and figure out how you're going to market. What's your market strategy going to be, right? Is it going to be, we talked about this yesterday, is it free? Anything that you can do for free? Is it your direct mail marketing, or is it your online marketing, right? And you can go to, for instance, like carrot.com or foreclosure.com or to Privy, you know, and you can find properties online, or you can start sending out letters, lists and letters to everybody, okay? And then, or you can do all the free stuff, right? And that's kind of how, you know, you do the marketing, you talk to the person on the phone, you get it under contract, and then you try to find a buyer for that property. That's wholesaler. You're the middle person between the buyer and the seller. That's how it works, okay? That is wholesaling. Okay, good. Okay, Julie says, what's the average return on a rehab? No, there's no average return on a rehab. It depends on where you're at. Where are you from? Where are you located at? Okay, so there's no average return on a rehab. It truly depends on where you're located at, right? So California is going to have a totally different return than, like, you know, Atlanta. It's just not going to work that way. So but you want to shoot for 15% or higher ROI, 15% or higher ROI, okay? So what that means is that you're going to just, you're in Atlanta, yeah, so 15, just shoot, I think everybody should just shoot for a 15% ROI, right? And when you do that, then you should be just fine depending on where you're at in the state, in the country, okay? Okay, and then you have lease options and sandwich lease options, all right? This is a good strategy for people that have houses that are like pretty houses that are not ugly, like not like vacant, ugly properties or whatever, but they call you up and they say, you know, yeah, you know, I have a house for sale, and they say, and you say, okay, great. So like, how many, you know, what work that needs to be done? I say, oh no, it's beautiful. Like everything's all redone right now. Okay, and then so this is the strategy that you're going to use for them. It's called a lease option, and this is what you can ask them. Look, would you be interested in that? Would you be interested in a lease option? Or you could call it a rent to own. Basically, it's a rent to own. Okay, and what that means is that you're going to have two contracts, and we're going to talk more about creative deal structuring tomorrow, either tomorrow or Friday, depending on which day we end up doing it. But it's a rent to own. So what that means is you're going to have a contract for a lease, right? So you say, I'm going to lease this. What if, is it okay if I lease this place out or rent this place out for 2 years or 3 years, whatever you want to do, and then I have the option to buy it at the end of that lease period. Okay, so it's a 2 or 3 year lease period where you pay on a monthly rental. Like, I'll just rent it for the next couple of years, and then after that couple of years, I have the option to buy it. And that means, and a lot of the times this works for people that have like bad credit, you know, and they're just like, give me like a year to 2 years to get my credit up and running and going, and then I'll just purchase the property right after that. All right, and that's a lease option. And but what you can do is you can do it as an investor. So basically, you can go in and rent the property for, let's just say you rent it for $1,000 a month, right? And in 3 years, you can buy it. Let's say you buy it for, you know, whatever, $150,000, okay? And you say, okay, I'll buy this property for $150,000 in 3 years. But for the next 3 years, I would like to rent it for $1,000 a month. Okay. And then what you do is you go out and you find somebody to actually do that. All right. That's called a sandwich lease. So then you go and you find somebody that'll pay you $1,500 a month for that property, and they'll buy it for $175,000 in 2 years. And you make that time a little bit shorter than what your time is, right? And then you say, okay, so I'll rent this out to you for 2 years, a 2-year rent to own purchase. Okay, you have 2 years at $1,500 a month, and at the end of 2 years, you get to you have the right to purchase it. And then you'll pay the $1,000 to the seller, right, every single month, and you'll pocket that $500. Okay, and then at the end, you'll sell it to the buyers for $175,000, and then you'll sell it to the seller for $150,000. You'll buy it from the seller from $150,000, and then you'll get that $25,000 in the middle. And that's how lease options work, and that's how a sandwich lease option work. Right? So hopefully that makes sense to y'all. Good. Owner financing. Okay, so this is my favorite thing ever. Oh my gosh, I love owner financing so much. So because that means, I don't have to go to the bank to buy anything. I'll owner finance storage facilities all day long, right? And that means I don't have to go to the bank to borrow the money. And so basically what that is, or I'll owner finance. We do owner finance on land, right? So we'll actually owner finance the land, and then we'll sandwich owner finance the land to somebody else, right? So what that means is that, let's just say that we find a property and it's free and clear, right? And most of the time this happens when it's free and clear, right? You don't really do owner financing. If you do owner financing when there's a mortgage on it, it's called a wrap. Right, and I don't suggest doing wraps because that's more of like an advanced thing right now. But you could actually go to somebody that's free and clear and say, hey, I would love to buy your home right now. And they would say, like, I want $150,000 for it. You say, well, you do realize your property is only worth $100,000. But I'll buy it for $150,000 from you if you owner finance it to me. And then you'll say, I'll pay you X amount of money every single month. Right, and then in 5 years, I'll buy I'll just refi out and buy it from you or something, and you give some sort of a balloon payment. That's owner financing. So the owner is actually the bank. Whoever owns the property is actually the bank. Okay, so that's owner financing, and then what you could do is if you find somebody that's willing to owner finance it for you, then you come in and let's just say the same exact thing. And the difference between owner financing and lease option is that with lease options, they're renting it. So you are still the landlord, right? You have to come in and fix everything and do everything, right? Excuse me. But if I'm owner financing, that means that I'm giving them the deed, right? I'm giving them the deed. So what that means is I actually get the property when I pay for it, right? So for instance, like I had a house that I talked to the owners and they wanted $125,000 for the house. Well, so I said, okay, well, I'll pay that if you owner finance it to me. And they said, okay, yeah. I said, I'll pay you $650 a month for 5 years. And at the end of the 5 years, I'll refi out and I'll pay you the rest of it. And they said, okay, yeah, that's good. So essentially that's what we did is and what happened is that I paid them $650 for 5 years. I rented the place out for $1,000 a month. So I pocketed like $450 every single month. Or is that $350? Anyways, yeah, $350. So I pocketed that money every single month. And then what happened is at like 4.5 years, all right, I had the tenant move out, and I just put the house on the market, and I sold that house. I had bought it for $125,000. Remember, I sold it for like $65,000 or something like that. So I made a good and then I had already paid off like $40,000 over the course of 4 years. So I only owed like between 80 and 85. I think about $85,000 I owed to them. So $85,000 I owed to the owners, And then I got that cut. So on that property, I think I made like, yeah, I made like 80 grand on that property. It was really good. And that's literally I fixed it up a little bit, put a couple $1,000s here and there, put a new HVAC in it. I needed a new HVAC, so that cost me like a couple $1,000s. But over the course of 5 years, really did not do a lot. I did a little painting on the inside, cleaned it up, and then we sold it. We repainted it again, cleaned it up, and then put it on the market and sold it for $165,000. So I made about $350 every month for 5 years, almost 5 years, 4.5 years. We never had that place empty. Maybe like 1 or 2 months, and that's it. And we actually never heard from the tenants either, or from the people that, and the people that wanted to buy it. And we had an owner finance agreement with them, and in the end, at the 4-year mark, when they wanted to buy it, they said they couldn't buy it. Right, so that's why I had to put it on the market, which was fine with me. I just put it on the market and sold it. But you can do that as well too, which is really cool. Okay, so that's creative deal structuring. If anybody understands that, hopefully I explained it clearly. If you have any questions, just put them into the chat so I can make sure you understand that. But I actually got the deed. That was my house. On owner financing, I get the deed. In lease options, you don't get the deed until you actually close on the house in the option period. Okay. And subject to, everybody hears about subject to. Subject to means that you're going to keep the loan in the owner's name and pay the loan off every single month. Okay? You're not assuming the loan. You're keeping the loan in their name and paying the loan off every single month. So what you have to do is you have to convince the owner, say, look, you're behind on, and this usually is when they're behind on payments, right? So look, you're behind on your payments like 3 months. You owe like $4 grand on your mortgage right now, you know, so I'm going to bring it up to date, $4,000. I'll give you another like $1,000 or $2,000 to move out, right? So you come out of pocket a little bit to help them. You don't have to do that, but I do that. And then if you just keep the mortgage in your name and just keep it in there for a year, that'll give me enough time to come in and either fix it up, right? So you can rehab it, right? And fix it up and then sell it. Or you can rent it out. You can say, look, let me keep it for 2 years and I'll rent it out. And at the end of 2 years, I'll just refi it out. And the good thing is that you're keeping it in their name, so their credit is going to start being built up because they're already 30, 60, 90 days late or longer. So they've had some issues, and most of the time they have like credit issues if they're interested in doing the subject to, or they're having issues. You will do a subject to on pre-foreclosure and foreclosure. So if you're interested in working with foreclosures and pre-foreclosures, you need to learn how to do subject tos, okay? So anyways, yeah, so we're like, so you'll keep the loan in their name, and then what you'll do is you'll hold on to it for as long as you can convince the owners for, right? And you can, the good thing about doing a subject to is that you don't have to come out of pocket to purchase the property. Right, you're just getting the property, all right. But like, let's just say you want to do it for a rehab, you do have to come up with the money for the rehab now. So now you have to find money for the rehab, and sometimes these houses they take $10 or $20 or $30,000, but sometimes you can do a subject to, and you can do like a $60,000 rehab. So the only thing is that you've got to understand is if you do a subject to, like the lien on the property is still there. The first lien, the first mortgage is still there. So the person that brings in that $50,000 or $60,000 to do the renovation, they have to have a second, or you have to figure something out with that money, or you have to bring your own money to the table, right? And a lot of lenders, they really want that first, but you have to explain to them, like, you're only giving me 60 grand, so you have to take a second, right? If you want to borrow the money from somebody to do the rehab. It's not difficult. There's a lot of people out there that have, you know, that need 60. I'm looking for 60 grand right now so I can buy a place too as well. And you just borrow the money from somebody else and then just get them to, you know, and then just get them to do the second on the property. But subject tos are a really, really good way to get properties for almost little on the dollar. You just have to come out of pocket to make sure they're current. And then you have to pay, you have to make their payments every single month. Right, you have to pay every single month, because otherwise they can just call the sell due, just the mortgage company. They could just be like, all right, now you owe me like all of the money, right? And then they just lose the property. So you don't want to do that. You don't want to ruin anybody's credit. You want to stick to your words. You got to be honest when you're doing something like this, okay? So that's something. Now, when you talk to a seller, don't say, yeah, I'm going to take your property subject to, right? Because they're not going to understand what subject to is. All right, what you're going to say is, would you be interested in having me pay all of your debt, pay all of your past debt off, all your mortgages, bring you current, and then make your monthly payment for a little while so I can, clean the house up and either re-rent it or rehab it. So you kind of explain it to where you're like, you're letting them know that they're making the payments. When you close on the loans, you want to use a lawyer that understands subject to. You can't just go to like some regular lawyer, right? You have to go to a lawyer that understands this concept. And you will find these types of lawyers in your RIA, right? So everybody's going to the RIAs now and joining the RIA and getting involved in their RIA, because these types of lawyers will be vendors of your RIA, okay? Lending, all right, that's what I said. If you want to make money, the best way to make money in the real estate investing world is to lend your money out. Why? Because you're not doing anything. I have made my lenders not millions, hundreds of thousands of dollars, almost $1 million total for all my lenders. Isn't that crazy? And they have done nothing. Nothing except for wire the money to the attorney, and that's it. That's it. That's all they do, right? So, the best way to make money is when you have to do nothing for your money, right? And so, if you have any money, consider lending that money out, because essentially you just make money by doing nothing, and it's 10%. I mean, essentially, if you're going to do a rehab, remember I told you your ROI is going to be around 15%. But in the end, like after you do the rehab, you really make like 10% because you have all these stuff. Like you have contingencies come up and like things that you don't account for. And so I say shoot for 15% so you can make 10%, right? And with a lender, I mean, they just make 10%. They don't do anything. They just make 10%. So literally, like you're working your butt off for 10% to do a rehab, and this lender is literally doing nothing and making 10% on the same amount of money, right? I have one lender. He's like in the process of like getting his architectural drawings done on his dream house, because he's made in the past 5 years probably like maybe $400,000 or $500,000. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to use that money to build my dream house, right? And he's literally done nothing, right? He hasn't even seen my houses. He's like, after the first one, he's like, I don't need to see you anymore, Stacey. He's like, just take my money and just like, go use it, right? That's the way. That's your goal. Your goal should be to become a lender, to make enough money that you can just lend it out and not have to work for it. Okay. All right, rentals and turnkey. All right, when I say turnkey, I mean that you're going out and maybe you're wholesaling and you're finding properties that come across your plate, and what happens is you're going to come across properties that are like regular properties that you can just wholesale to rehabbers, and then you're going to come across properties where there's tenants living in the properties, right? And that's a turnkey rental is what that's called, right? So when you come across a property where there's a tenant already there and the owner just wants to sell the house with the tenant in it, and they have a 2-year lease, and you have to honor that lease, right? So essentially you would just wholesale, right, this turnkey property, and that's what you do. That's how you say it. Like, I'm going to wholesale this property. It's a turnkey rental, right? So turnkey is the tenant is already in the property and they're selling the property as is, right? And then rentals is like you can find houses that are just vacant, and you say this is the perfect area for a rental. You know what I'm saying? So like, there's in your area, there's always good areas that are just like rental areas, and you say, okay, like if I can wholesale or I can buy a rental in this area, and I know that I'll always have it filled. So you have rentals, and you have turnkey rentals is what you have. And that's the difference between both of those. And so right now, rentals are the way to go. Turnkey, wholesaling turnkey properties and wholesaling rentals is a very, very good strategy right now into the downturn, because everybody's thinking about passive income and how they can make money on passive income. Okay, So when you do wholesaling, you say, I want to wholesale rentals and build my landlord list, and then wholesale either turnkey or rentals. And then you can get an absentee owner list, right? Absentee owner is where you're going to find these, okay? And then you can just contact them and mail letters out or whatever you want to do. And then you can find buyers that want to buy rental properties with tenants or without tenants, okay? Multifamily. Multifamily is definitely good right now, because the thing is that in America there is a housing shortage. There's a housing shortage, okay? I mean, even though the real estate market has dropped 20%, there is not enough places in the United States for people to learn to live, especially for renting, right? So multifamily in the downturn will do very, very well. So if you are interested, and when I say multifamily, everyone thinks of these big, huge apartment buildings. I'm thinking like 20 doors or less, or even 10 doors or less. Like you can go onto the MLS and you can find properties that are 10 doors or less, right? And then once I think it gets like over 10 doors, you have to go into the commercial section. But so that's one strategy you could do, is just go and look for properties that are 10 doors or less, probably inside the city limits. Not a good idea, too expensive. Go outside into the country, go out into like middle Georgia, and out in these areas you can find really good deals on properties that are 10 doors or less, if you're interested in multifamily. All right, I have students right now that are looking for 10 doors or less, and that's the strategy that they're doing, is they're going wherever they live outside of that city, in the middle of wherever they're at is where they're focusing on buying those properties. And they'll buy them either to hold on to them, or they'll buy them to wholesale them, right? Because you could definitely wholesale those as well too. So wholesaling is a very good area right now to be focusing on, okay, in the downturn. Mobile homes and mobile home parks. Do I do both or just one? Yeah, I know mobile homes and mobile home parks. Okay, good. Mobile homes. So mobile homes, oh my gosh, it's going to be good. Now, because why? Because, people don't have any money. They just want to go move into a mobile home, They can only afford $100,000 or something like this for their house, right? So mobile homes is going to be huge right now. And you can buy them, hold them, or you can rent them, or you can rehab them, or you can owner finance them. Doesn't that sound awesome, right? So, so you can go out and find a mobile home for $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, right? And then you can rehab it. And rehabbing a mobile home doesn't cost that much money at all, maybe $10,000, $20,000, $30,000. And then if you can refi it out and get it into one loan, and then you have it as a buy and hold, and then you can owner finance it to somebody else, and owner finance it, a $75,000 home, or an $85,000 or $100,000 home at 10% interest for 5 years or 10 years or something like that. And then you make money. Not only do you make money owner financing it on a monthly basis, and then you're the bank, so you get that 10% on the money as well too, right? So wonderful, wonderful, good area to learn and to focus on is mobile home, right? Okay, and you will do just fine in the market. So you can owner finance them, you can rent them, you can wholesale them, and you can rehab them, right? So mobile homes is a good area. Storage, y'all know me, y'all know I have storage facilities. I love storage facilities, okay? So in the uptown, in the downtown, mobile homes, especially, and even mobile homes in the uptown and the downtown, if mobile homes and storage go hand in hand, you will always be able to sell mobile homes on either part of the real estate market, okay? And mobile homes is just passive income. The same exact, storage is passive income. That's what it is. Now, it is retail business. People don't think about this. It's a retail business. So when people say, I want to buy a storage facility. Okay, yeah, so you have to find it and you have to fund it. But the thing about it is you have to run it. So you have to manage it, and you got to learn how to manage the facilities. And you have a business, right? You're buying a business that you have to manage, and people don't think about that when they think about storage facilities. So that's what kind of sets everybody apart from everything else there. So if you don't want to run a business, if you just want to hold on to it, then it's a different thing, right? The storage facilities will always be a good buy. Tax liens. Of course, everybody's going to have issues paying their taxes right now, right? So there's going to be so many tax liens. And, you know, the only thing is that there's a lot of competition in tax liens. Now, in the upturn, there's really a lot of competition. In downturn, not so much. So we'll see what happens in the downturn, how many of these investors drop off in order to go bid. Because back in the, I mean, over the course of the last couple of years, I mean, people are just bidding up these houses, just ridiculous. And the reason why is because, you know, they just want that that payment, right? So 20%, and it really depends on what state you're in. So I'm not 100% sure where everybody's at, what percentage it is, but it's a pretty high percentage rate that you would. And then what happens though is you just become like a lender. Become a lender, right? Is what's happening like with tax liens, because everybody's bidding it up, and then you're basically lending that money, crossing your fingers that they don't pay it, but most of the time they do pay it, right? And then you just make that 20% on whatever they owe. Okay, so it's really kind of, tax liens really kind of being a lender is really what it is. But you can always in a downturn and an upturn make money on tax liens. Okay. I have never done tax liens, and the reason why I have not done tax liens is because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of due diligence, and I don't want to do the work, you know. So it's like rehabbing. Rehabbing is so much work. Believe me, I did rehabs, and I'm just like, I'm done. I'm done with it. But yeah, but you can make a lot of money on it, right? So just, you know, the more work that you put in. Now, land, y'all know me, y'all know that I love land, right? So and land you can wholesale and you can owner finance, right? Wholesale and owner finance. We're looking at a piece of property right now. Somebody called us up, and a church owns it, and they were thinking about buying putting a church on it, and then they decided not to, and it's right like in between two subdivisions. Really, really good piece of property, and they're going to owner finance it to us. Isn't that nice of them? And so so we're going to get this piece of property, and then we're going to just, you know, we're going to pay, you know, and then actually the land is not going to be very expensive anyways, but then we're going to go out and find somebody that will owner finance it from us, right? So they're going to owner finance it to us, and they're giving us a really good deal. I mean, essentially very, very low amount of money to be owner finance. And it's really worth probably 3 or 4 times of what they're going to give us. And so we're going to go out and try to find somebody that will owner finance it, and I guess on a monthly basis for it. And that creates passive income, right? So land is also really good. You can wholesale it and flip it. I could just like sell it and make cash and be done with it, or I can wholesale it as well too. The only thing is that land is hard to sell on the buy side, right? So it's easy to acquire land. It's hard to find a buyer, just like wholesalers. And once you get your marketing set up and strategies set up, wholesaling and land go hand in hand, very, very easy. But finding the buyers for those, that's the hard part. That's the hard part, right? And so with land, you know, that's kind of where we're at with the land. But and we're in the process of we want to do some boat and RV parking as well. And so we're looking for some land that we can do that on. So and that's why we like land as well too. But so that's land. Land is good. Land is always good. Land, you know, land in the downturn, you know, it's going to be a little bit harder to sell land in the downturn, like when it gets really, really down. But for right now, it's fine. People are buying land still. And then just hold on to it is what they'll do, especially if you can own or finance it. Because if you can make a payment plan for them, people will buy land. Okay, oh, that's it. Okay, good. So any final questions on that? I'm going to take this off. Let's go back real fast, and let's go to the very beginning. So now I went through of all of the types of transactions that you can do. I picked the ones that you should be focusing on right now, right? These are the things that you should be focused on. So in the group, tell me which ones you're interested in. Tell me which ones, like I'm interested in this, this, and this, but I'm going to focus on this. Put that into the comments so I can see, right? So as you can see, we did not pick notes. We did not put crowdfunding. We did not put assisted living or commercial on there. We did not do remote rehabbing. We did not do wraps or self-directed IRAs. Rental vacations, not on there, right? Signage is not on there. But most of the stuff is on there. So you can still make money in the downturn. You just have to shift what you want to focus on, right? So that's that. Okay, cool. All right. So so that's that. So let's do some questions here. So I undid that so y'all should be able to see my face in just a second here. Okay, so Julia says she wants to do lending. Awesome. And maybe some mobile homes. Yes. Okay, good. I love it. Mobile homes, I'm telling you, mobile homes is the way to go. And just be on the lookout. It's not going to be till the fall, but we're doing a storage and mobile home boot camp coming up in the fall. I'm so excited. So excited about this boot camp. The best kept secrets in the real estate investing industry are mobile home and storage facilities, and we're going to be doing a boot camp. So pay attention to that coming out here pretty soon. Me and one of the best female mobile home teachers that teaches about mobile home parks. We're going to partner up and do a big boot camp. Okay, cool. All right. Okay, Kimberly says, can you send me info on a draftsman? I sent you a text last week. Oh, you did? I don't think I ever got it. I don't know. But yeah, just put, if you need a draftsman, you're in Atlanta, right, Kim? I just want to make sure you're in Atlanta, because that's, okay. And just, can you do me a favor and email questions at southatlantareha.com, and then email me there, and I can get you the information for a draftsman. That's for the South Atlanta REIA. Remember, I own a real estate investors association for Atlanta, right? So she's going to email me. I think she's a member, so she can email me there, and I'll give it to her. Let's go back and let's see what time frame is that based on to make 10% back. 1 year. So private money lender loans are a year long, right? So let's just say you loan, you loan somebody $100,000 in 1 year, you're going to make $10,000. Okay, that's how it's going to work. How much should we start with for lending? I don't know. You tell. How much money do you got? You got a lot of money? Essentially, I would want to be first lien. My personal opinion is to be first lien. All right. So if you want to be first lien, then you have to have enough money to be first lien. Otherwise, you're going to be second lien. And I don't recommend being second lien, honestly. So my question to you is, how much money do you have, and do you have enough money to be first lien? Okay. And so, for instance, I'm in the process of buying a place that's like $60,000, like $65,000 or whatever, right? So if you had $65,000, you'd be able to be first lien, right? But if you only had $40,000, I mean, that's just not going to cut it. And in fact, if you only have 40 grand, it doesn't really do a lot. Now you could do second lien, and I have lenders that are okay with being second lien, right? But you would just have to do the gap funding. So for instance, like if you found somebody that is going to go to a hard money lender and borrow 80% of whatever their loan is, you could be that 20%, because remember, it's the 80-20 rule. So the buyer has to put 20% down, and then the lender does the 80%, right? So they may allow a second. Now, some lenders do not allow seconds. Hard money lenders do not allow seconds, but some do. If they do allow a second, then you could be the second for them, and you could be what's called gap funder or gap lender. Okay, that's, you're filling the gap of that project. Okay. Okay, all right, and then we got the draftsman, lending, rentals, rehab, and maybe tax liens. Awesome, I love it. Draftsman, we got, Jennifer says wholesaling to build up some funds, then rentals, rehabs, and eventually vacation rentals. Good, yeah, so I would focus on, if you want to do vacation rentals eventually, then just focus on rentals right now and look for, this is what I'm teaching my students in my mastermind. Because I have a couple of students that they just want to do vacation rentals. That's what they want to do. But like now, nobody's doing vacation rentals, right? So I have one of my students, she's buying a property, and it's like, has 2 kind of apartments in it. And she wants to eventually make that into a vacation rental. But what she's going to do is she's going to rent those out for now until she can do vacation rentals. And what she's going to do is she could do like a business, like a short-term business rental, right? Where she's going to furnish the whole thing, and then she's going to like rent it out to business, like business people. And for like, and then like the minimum would be like 6 months or something like that. So she's going to try to do that in these places. Okay. So you could possibly do that with your rentals if you want to do vacation rentals. Okay. Okay, good. Awesome. Anything else? Let's see what else. Any other questions? Anything else? I think that was good. Yeah, so tomorrow we're going to do choosing your market, right? We're going to do how to choose your market. And then on Friday, we have a special guest speaker. I'm really excited. She's a good friend of mine. And she also will teach us some good stuff as well too. So be on the lookout for that. But we'll do choosing your market, how to figure out your market, and if we have time, we'll do creative deal structuring as well too. So we can get into that. Okay. All right. Any other final questions? If you have any questions, let me see. I have one in the chat from Zoom. Just make sure. Yeah, no, that's it. Okay, good. Oh, awesome. Okay, good. Awesome. Okay, good. All right. So I think that's it. All right, so this will be in all of the past, yes, I did. All of the past, what's it called? All the past, what's it called? Webinars are going under units in the Facebook group, right? So if you want to go back and re-listen to them, you go back and just click on units in the Facebook group and you can find them, all right? And also, I posted in the Facebook group a lot of stuff yesterday. I posted Karen, I posted Carrot, I posted American Tracers, I posted a lot of like pretty much everything that I use that I feel like y'all can look. Privy is there. So make sure you go and check all those out. Get a demo from Privy. That's how you run comps, is through Privy, okay? And then American Tracers is how you do skip tracing. Karen is where you get your lists from, this kind of thing, okay? All right, cool. I think that's it. I will see you guys tomorrow. You guys take care, all right? I'll talk to you soon.